Now, this is the area where a lot of van lifers get into trouble in the wintertime. You can have space heaters and whatever else it is. If the temperature drops down low enough, you can be in a lot of trouble.
Take me in your arms, do just what you want. You're the one I trust. I belong to you, and I'll always be around when I need some loving, baby. And I'll never let you down, let you down. I'm your song, and you're playing all my melodies.
Hey, how's it going, fam? Good morning. Welcome back to Dyess Air Force Base Family Campgrounds. Now, if you're new, my name is Don. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself and what we're doing out here. So me and my lovely wife, Peggy, and my little bully of a wiener dog, DJ, we have been full-time RVing for about 20 of the last 24 months. And we have been to almost the entire bottom half of the United States just RVing full time. Now, when we started, we had absolutely no experience at all. Now, I'm prior service, so I did some camping, but not in an RV or anything like that. And my wife, Peggy, she's done like in none of it. But over the past couple of years, we have learned a lot. We are still not experts, but we have learned a lot. And so what I want to do today is I want to share some of the things that we have learned. So a couple weeks ago, Punxsutawney Phil, Groundhog's Day, came out and saw his shadow, which is supposed to mean there's like 8 more weeks of winter. Now that's what I want to talk to you about today is wintering in your RV, especially when you're full-time. There are some definite tips that I have learned and Peggy has learned over the past few months because we have been RVing this entire winter. And I want to share some of those tips with you guys today while I run my errands and stuff. So let's get started. Now, the first and most obvious tip is selecting a location where you're willing to spend the winter. Now, when Peggy and I first got started, we narrowed it down to 3 places. We was either going to be in Florida, Southern Arizona, or Southern California. Peggy grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and she is tired of all the snow and stuff. So we wanted to go to a place that was a bit warmer. Now, if you are decided to try to do some winter RVing, you might want to make your reservations early because almost everybody wants to go to Florida, Southern Arizona, and Southern California in the wintertime, if those are the places you want to go to. Peggy and I'm like I said, I'm prior service, I'm U.S. Army retired, so we was able to stay at military bases, and the military bases in Tampa, Florida, and Tucson, Arizona don't take reservations. So it's a first come, first serve kind of thing. So we just had to make sure we left early enough to where we can get a spot and just make do. But yeah, now if you live in the frigid north or something like that, that might not be an option for you, especially if you want to stay close to home for whatever purposes and stuff. The rest of these tips are going to really be important to you. But my first tip, of course, is select a good location. Now, even if you manage to get one of these warm locations, that does not guarantee that you will not get cold. Just last week, it was 28 degrees where we were. And Peggy and I didn't even notice it because how well our RV has insulated us. We didn't know it was so cold until the next morning we got up and the water had frozen in the water hose. So yes, having an equipped RV is tip number 2. Make sure you evaluate your RV. Now, even though we've only been doing this for about 2 years, this is not our first RV. We spent the first 12 months in I guess it was a less appointed RV. We had a Vibe 26 RL. There was several things about that Vibe that does not hold up to what we wanted to do, especially for winter camping. One, the first thing is the current RV we have, the Outback 330 RL, is insulated for winter living. Now, this is the area where a lot of van lifers get into trouble in the wintertime, because if your RV is not insulated, you can have space heaters and whatever else it is. If the temperature drops down low enough, you can be in a lot of trouble. So we're fortunate to have an RV that has a good insulation for winter and summer months. And we also have this 40-inch, what they call a fireplace. It's not really a fireplace. The flames is just for appearance sake. It is basically a glorified space heater with flame effects and stuff. There's no real flame. There's no real danger of catching fire or anything. But it's a great way of warming up the space. We have a pretty large living room, and the fireplace keeps the entire living room warm most of the time. Now, if it gets a little too cold, we might need to turn on the propane tanks. But having a fireplace this size has been a real plus. Now, like I said, I don't know if you can call this a tip. It's maybe not as a separate tip, but you want to look for, if you haven't purchased your RV already, insulation and a fireplace would be two of the things that I would, if I were you, I would look for if you're deciding to do some winter camping. Now, with winter camping comes power outages. That beautiful fireplace that we have will be less than useless if we had a power outage. So the lifeblood of any RVer is going to be the propane tanks. And so I would say my next tip would be to maximize your propane tanks. Now, when I say maximize your propane tanks, Peggy and I are blessed to have two of the big 30-pound propane tanks. These are about twice the size of the ones you get for exchanges at the Walmart or some gas stations and stuff. But of course, it lasts much longer. You want to keep those things full, and you only want to use them when you need to. Now, we use those propane tanks for heating and for cooking on our stove inside the RV. Now, if you can use your fireplace and still stay warm and not use those propane tanks for heat, you want to go ahead and do that. That way you can reserve those propane tanks for emergencies or extremely cold nights. So make sure you maximize like that. Also, you want to make sure you keep those things full. You don't want to let one go empty and just keep using the other one until it gets low and just try to get them both filled up. Nah, because if you got a 2 or 3 day emergency where you can't get your tanks filled up, what are you going to do on a super cool day, on a super cold evening? So you want to make sure you're ready to swap out propane tanks if necessary. Now, for most RVs, it's a simple idea of just switching the lever from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. But you want to make sure you always have propane on hand. Do not let your propane tanks go empty under any circumstances. You never know, because what if you lose power or get stuck in a spot for a very long period of time, and that little fireplace is just not going to warm up the entire RV. So keeping your propane tanks maintained and full will be a very, very important tip. Now, speaking of power outages, my next tip is to establish alternative sources of power. Now, our RV comes with a 400-watt solar panel, but that's not going to run a lot of stuff. It's not going to run like space heaters. It won't run that fireplace if we lost power. It'll charge your phones. It'll keep you let your radio run and stuff like that. Maybe even a fan. We also have a power bank. We got a 1,000-watt power bank that was sent to us that we can use to also charge our phones and plug up TVs and even a coffee pot or something like that. Now, I'm not going to use it for a coffee pot. Well, I don't know. Maybe I will. But this power bank can be charged from the cigarette lighter in the truck also, so we don't need to plug it into the RV park or whatever else. Now, a lot of people use generators or power inverters for their alternative source of power. A lot of problem with that is a lot of them are noises, so you got to make sure you follow the rules of your RV park about whether you can run generators during quiet hours or at night or whatever else it is. So those are alternative sources of power, and every once in a while check on them to make sure they're working good in case the power does go out, in case there is an emergency. So my next tip will be maintaining supplies. Now, in an RV, Space is limited, space is at a premium, but you still need to make sure you have things in there for emergencies. So you want to have your extra blankets, you want to have your extra foodstuffs, you want to have your alternative methods of preparation and things like that. So make sure you set up your supplies to where if you cannot get out and restock, you at least have 2 or 3 days to where you could just stay in the RV, never have to leave, and still be able to maintain. Like I said, we like going to warm climates, but we've seen freak snowstorms in southern Arizona, Texas, flooding, whatever else it is. So make sure you stay stocked up so you're prepared for any kind of situation. Now, if you're like us, and you might be far from home or traveling great distances during your RVing in the wintertime, it's very important that you establish a plan for medical care. Now, these days, you probably get assigned to a medical region or things like that. So you want to make sure you have your records with you, have your prescriptions with you, and if you're going to be somewhere for a long period of time, transfer your care to maybe somebody who is close by. Their urgent care is located all over the place now. So hey, make sure you know the location and route to your local urgent care. Because in an emergency, you may not be able to go see your normal doctor, physician, or anybody like that. Especially when you get to a certain age now. Peggy and I are both retirees, even though we're still young retirees. I'm retired from the Army and we're not working, but we're not as young as we used to be. So medical care is very, very important, of course, for everybody, but especially for somebody who is up in age. So if you're doing this, make sure you have a plan. Now, I'm picking up mail today because we got a package coming in, and that's one of the issues that we have when you're RVing for a long period of time. Now, just about every post office system has some general delivery locations. We are blessed that military bases always allow you to get general delivery at their local mail rooms and post offices. So find out where your general delivery is or get a P.O. box close to your location. But I think it's important, my next tip is that it's important to stay in contact with people and people know how to get a hold of you and where you are. A lot of us might be RVing to try to get away from a lot of people or to get away from things, but you want to have something. You want to have somebody to reach out to in case of emergency, and you want somebody to know that you're okay. It's not uncommon to get lost out there and find yourself in situations where you want people to know where you are and how to get a hold of you and send help if necessary. A lot of us are really, really brave and independent and stuff like that. I'm brave and independent myself, but I still make sure people know where I am and how to get a hold of me, and that's pretty important. Hey, what's going on, fam? So we are back, and this is coming to the conclusion of our video for the day. I know it's short, but I just wanted to bring you some thoughts I had about wintertime camping and based on the time frame that we're in right now. This is by no means an exhaustive list. Peggy probably has quite a few ideas of her own that she'd like to share with you guys, and we'll be making that available. We'll be going live in the next few days. So if you have any questions that you have for me, Peggy, or both of us about RV, winter camping, or any other subject related to RVing, so make sure you write them down and join us for the live. I don't have an exact day or time for the live, but if you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified each and every time we go live. Now, we'll be posting it like at least a day before we go live, so you'll have a notification or something, but make sure you join us for that because we always have a lot of fun on these lives. Just want to thank you guys for joining me. And as we always say, we always want to remind you guys that God, they do something good for yourself and for others as well. Y'all take it easy, fam.
Take me in your arms, do just what you want. You're the one I trust. I belong to you, and I'll always be around when I need some loving, baby. And I'll never let you down, let you down, let you down. I'm your song, and you're playing all my melodies. There's no one The universe has known it all